Right. We are live.
Okay,
Looks like
here we go.
put part 2 on the live there.
I did. Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, we did some of it last week. So
Yeah. Well, welcome in everybody to the Mystical Mind Exchange. I'm Dr. Cija Ebeling, and with me today is Holy Jobe.
Hi.
We're looking over some notes before we begin. We are going to start in on the second part of our soul lesson, soul lessons and soul purpose, out of the book that written by Sonia Choquette. So if you have that book, you can follow along. We're not going to be reading it word for word, but we're going to be discussing that you are a divine immortal being. You are the soul having the human experience, unlike what we've been taught all our lives, that we are a human with a spirit. Well, we are the soul having a human experience, and the other way around. You ready?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm ready now. I had to turn the volume down, then I had to put the YouTube up so I could see the chat. I bet everybody forgot us today.
We are
That's
still going
okay.
to.
We are going to
There's
go
going to be a
forward.
replay, so tune in later to
Mariah's here.
catch this message or this session. Hi, Mariah. We give a few moments for people to come in and look over your lessons. Does Mariah have this book too?
She has it or not?
Oh,
not sure.
Do you have this book, Mariah? Because if you don't, you should.
Mm-hmm. I think everybody should.
Yeah, this is a great starter book. Yeah, when you're first coming through your awakening, this is the book I'd recommend to tap into first. It's very, very mild and easy to read, and you can kind of gauge your growth through your awakening process. And so that's why I love it so much, because I can check back a year later and notice, oh my gosh, I've gone up 2 more levels. I'm on this level now. So
exactly. That's what I was reading the other day when you were going through some of the lists. I was like, wow, I'm not really a student anymore. Or, I keep evolving as we all keep evolving. And it's pretty cool. I haven't read this book in a while.
yeah, Mariah says she doesn't have this one yet.
Ask her if she's excited about Reiki.
You excited about this weekend? Is it this weekend that you're doing the?
It starts Saturday.
For shamanic Reiki. That's awesome. I'm excited for both of you. I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
See how different it is from the traditional Yasui Reiki.
They use all the Yasui Reiki symbols.
Okay.
But this is teaching you how to go on a journey to lower, middle, upper. You learn your spirit animal. You learn all this stuff. You really do take adventures in the beginning.
Wonderful. She says she's excited. Yes.
And so we're both pretty thrilled about it.
Awesome.
Okay. So you are a divine immortal being. Did you know that, Kia?
I did.
Yes.
Not in the beginning.
No,
it wasn't until I went through the awakening that I don't remember who I heard it from. I think it was from my therapist, actually. Because when I came to her, years and years of therapy for depression and pretty major depression, she just looked at me. She goes, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're just going through your spiritual awakening." I'm like, "What the heck is that?" And she goes, "It's when you start to discover that you are the soul having a human experience instead of the other way around." And those words I took off, and I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube, spiritual awakening this and spiritual awakening that. What does this mean? And oh my gosh, my mind is blown here, blown there. and I just haven't stopped. I just can't stop wanting to learn. It's more remembering, when
Yeah.
you're when you hear something that resonates with you and you get goosebumps, this is your soul remembering, and you're like, and it's like finally figured it out.
Right.
So that's what I
Right.
love about the awakening is
Yeah.
even the difficult times. That was my dark night of the soul, is when I was going through all that therapy for years and years. But it wasn't until I met up with that one therapist, and she said, instead of looking at what's wrong with you, let's look at what's right with you. And that is all I needed to hear.
So yeah, it's something that I read today. It was pretty cool. On the link that I sent you to join a
Mhm.
group. Um, she posted on there something about generational or ancestral trauma. Instead of focusing on, as you're dealing with it, yes, deal with the negativity, but also remember that those ancestors passed down really good things too.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we need to also embrace and remember. I thought that that was pretty powerful because a lot of
Mhm.
times when you're talking about ancestral trauma, generational trauma, whatever you want to say, you're just focusing on the negative aspects.
Yeah.
And that's fine because you do have to deal with that.
I got to work through that, but
You do.
they hand down the wisdom as well. So
Right.
you
Right.
got to
And
kind of
so,
use your own discernment to work through that.
mhm. But then on the other hand, you do, trying to bring something positive into, because when you're going through the negative aspects, it can be pretty powerful. It brought me to my knees, really, for a short time. But that's where I needed to be so that I could really appreciate and understand things, why things happen the way that they do.
Yep.
So I don't know. I thought that that was a really cool thing for her to post. Made sense. All right.
One, one of the things that I had a difficult time with first going through the awakening and realizing and remembering who I was is the battle of the ego. Those thoughts and those feelings that you get, that judgmental stuff that comes through, the negative self-talk, like you don't know what you're doing, you're not this, and just the
Mhm.
constant battle in the mind. And to try to, you don't want to dissolve it all away. We need the ego for survival, but learning to, I don't know, use that to your advantage when you feel those or hear those thoughts coming to mind, trying to acknowledge it, but also not reacting to it, and just allowing your soul to come back with, how can I see this in a more loving way? Because the ego wants to look at things from a negative perspective, and your soul wants to look at everything through the unconditional love perspective. So trying to work through that and kind of put the ego aside. And it takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. People want it just to go, oh, I want to get rid of my ego. Well, it's necessary though for survival. It's not, you don't want to get rid of your entire ego. You don't want to just love everyone. You still have to use your discernment to, protect your own energies and know who your tribe is, know how to find your tribe, and know how to attract them to you by being the light that you are, and by speaking from love rather than ego. You know, um, Mariah says she's learning about the ego right now in her conscious parenting book. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I want that book too. Still in my wish list there. You have any thoughts on the ego, Holly?
The ego. Mm.
How you've had to work through that too?
Yeah, I have had to work through that. I've learned a few different techniques when I notice that something's when I notice that something's coming in that's giving me a little twinge, like, you're not supposed to do that, but you're doing it anyway because you're just hard headed. So I think I've talked about it before where you have this negative thought, or your ego, whatever, judgment, you're looking at someone and being like, "Oh," when you catch yourself doing it, just tilt your head down and open up that window to where you feel that emotion. You open the window and you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out until that feeling is gone. And I don't know, it just helps.
So you're visualizing an actual window opening up and that
I do.
negative emotions
do.
flowing out of the window. That's
Yep.
cool.
I do. And it it really does help me.
That's awesome. I'm going to try to use that next time I have that happen to
It's
me.
just that it's learning to tilt the head forward, disconnect,
Okay, disconnect.
and it does. Stops
I
that firing of constant judgment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in school we learned to say cancel that when you have those negative thoughts. But also, the ancient mystics used to call this process when you try to dissolve the ego and transfer your thoughts into love versus negativity. They call it alchemy. Just the same way as, I don't know if you've ever read the book The Alchemist. I have
You
it
have
here.
it.
Oh my gosh, it is wonderful. It was hard to put down actually, and it was written in like a story form. I'm not going to give away the story, but it is beautiful. I found the book at an Airbnb that we were staying at in Durango, and they had it on the bookshelf, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at, I know I've heard of this book, so I picked it up, started reading it, but I wanted to keep it, but it wasn't mine, so I left it there, and I ordered it before I left the Airbnb, so
Oh,
it
cool.
arrived at my house by the time I got home, so I was able to pick up where I left off and finish the book. It's a pretty quick read. Took me about a day or two to read it, but it was definitely worth the read. Helps show things from a different perspective. The Mariah says it's very necessary, but we have to separate ourselves from the reactive societal conditioning. Yep, ego is very powerful. Yes, the ego wants to, what is it? Fight every truth that comes in. It's because of the conditioning. Like she said, the conditioning. We are always taught to view things from the negative perspective and the worst case scenario. So by switching it to looking at things from the best case scenario, like when you hear those thoughts come in, what if this or what if that? What if that? What's going to happen? You're
Right.
going to grow from it. You're going to
Right.
grow. Everything is a lesson. And if you look at it as a lesson and not the world acting against you, it's actually acting for you. So you can experience the growth that you came to learn here in this incarnation.
hmm Those
So,
thoughts that you have also prevent you from manifestation. And it's that programming that's caused us to not be able to manifest. I mean, the minute you try to manifest, you speak something out loud. The minute that that voice comes in your head from somewhere down the line that taught you that money or be thankful for what you have.
yeah.
Be thankful for what and you are, but it's just that kind of keeps you from moving forward, moving the way we were intended to be.
I want to read a part in this book under the soul lesson number 1. It says, you are spirit, a fiery, heavenly intelligence created by God and unlimited in nature. You do not need to become spiritual as though there was something fundamentally flawed in you that you must correct or overcome, as so many of us believe. You are spirit. Embrace, express, love, and enjoy this part that you play. So,
I love that.
yeah, it's not, I don't know, growing up in religions, religions. I grew up in the LDS religion, and we never talked about the soul. You know, we learned that we were the soul, or we were the physical being, and we had a spirit, but we never learned it the other way around of how it really is. But I do remember one time they did a lesson one time, and they talk about the pre-existence, and they I think I was a youth when they had a play, and they enacted something where they were in heaven planning this life coming up, and there was a couple, a boy and a girl, and they each were going to play a specific part in their, journey in their life. And it fast forward to the lifetime where this girl is walking home from school one day, and she trips and falls and drops her books everywhere. And this boy, who is somewhat physically deformed, comes along and picks up her books and carries them for her. And she says, "Why would you do that? Why would you carry my books for me? And why would you do this for someone that you don't know?" And he's like, "This is what I've come to do. I've come to help you." And I think they fast forward, and then they started becoming friends. And over time, he went and I guess he asked her to marry him. And she told her parents about it, and she didn't know what to do. And she confronted me. "I don't know how to answer this. I don't know. I'm kind of torn." And he says, "You may be wondering what people think of me and how they see me, but trust me, this was something in the design, that I would sacrifice my looks to be a better person for you." Or I don't know how they worded it, but I was like, huh, it plays along with some of the stuff that actually comes up in past life regressions.
It
We
does.
different roles for everyone in our soul group. We incarnate over and over to grow.
Mhm.
But that particular lesson reminded me, of the work that I do. I was like, they believe in the pre-existence, but we didn't talk about reincarnation, which, or maybe they do in the higher, realms of the church. I don't know. I left before, getting to that level. It just didn't appeal to me. Didn't want to be a part of that, but that was my own choice.
Same. I didn't want to be a part of that either. It's on one side of the family.
Yeah. That's And it
It's
also reminds me of when my ex-husband passed away, and I asked him after the fact, the soul, I'm like, "Why were you so difficult to live with and be married to?" And the response immediately was, "I sacrificed being the perfect husband and perfect father to be a catalyst for your growth and the girl's growth." And that completely changed my attitude and my thoughts towards my ex-husband, their father. I no longer hold resentment. I no longer hold, um I have nothing other than the love and the gratitude that he followed through with his mission, with his journey. And I told somebody that story today, and I started bawling
Did
and
you?
at the doctor's office.
Well,
Yeah. I told the doctor.
if everybody would start to look at each other that way, it may be a
Yeah,
negative relationship, but we're all here. We really are all one. We
yeah.
really are all divinely connected, and we're here to play certain roles for each other, for each
Mm,
other's growth. Even if we think it's like the worst thing ever. And I have learned that and learned to get over the hostilities that I've had with my ex-husband, with
mhm.
certain men in my life. It's just, you learn. It's harder. It takes more energy to hold on to negative. And the moment that you realize that, whoa, they're here to play their part, and boy, they are playing that part well.
They're an expert at it, aren't they?
They are good at what they do.
That's
The
what I
minute
tell
you learn
people.
that, it's like everything, all those weights, they're off, they're gone, and
Absolutely.
you can learn to really love people again. When you
Mhm.
once you thought the love, you're like, I can't stand you, blah blah blah. But if you kind of look at it from a different set of eyes,
Yeah.
that's what you have taught. That's something that you have taught me. Something that I've watched with you, and it's something that you kept saying when I first started listening to you was, I see you. I don't hear you say that much anymore.
Because you know,
Because I know.
you're
But
you,
I used to
you're
hear
seeing
you
it.
I used to hear you say that a lot. I see you. And that taught me something, just hearing that over and over from you. I see you. It's easy to forgive people and really learn that we're here to love one another unconditionally.
Yeah.
Because somewhere in another time, we really did love these people with all, the unconditional love. There's something. This isn't the first time. This isn't the first rodeo with them.
No, and some things that I tell people too is that the healer's journey is usually the most difficult. They are called to a higher purpose. So of course they have to go through a very difficult life, whether it's through physical, mental, sexual abuse, or just difficult relationships in general. It helps teach us how to love from a different perspective. It teaches us how to love from the broken heart, if that makes sense. Because your heart is broken, it's very difficult to see others go through the same thing. And this is where codependency starts kicking in, and we have to work through that as well, to learn how to stay in our lane, how to
Girl.
allow people to live their own journey and not interfere. Because if we interfere and jump in and try to fix everything all the time, well, things are going to still continue to happen to these people because that lesson has to be learned eventually. So if we just step out of the way, allow people to go through the trauma or to go through the horrible relationships, the lesson will eventually get learned, even if it takes a few times, like it did for me. I had to go through many relationships to get through that healing, and now I can help others get through theirs.
Took two. Yeah.
So,
I didn't learn it
see.
the first time.
What's that?
I didn't learn it the first time. I had to go for round two.
And you got to be patient with yourself. It's okay. But, who learns? You go to class one day. How many of us learn immediately? Oh, thank you for that. Learn immediately the lesson that was being taught that day. It takes a while to sink in.
Yeah.
You know. Glad you thought of that. Getting too much of it in your face.
Yeah, my throat chakra. I've said a lot of things tonight.
Did you? Gotta find all lines over. I'm gonna do that in my end too because I smell it. Gotta open up my happy senses.
Yeah. Just calm right down.
Mm-hmm.
When I do that, I should have done that a long time ago. Something that I heard from this author.
Sonia?
Yeah. So one of her little things that she tells you to do, that I was listening to today was, when you get to the point of judgment where you feel like you're judging other people, or um, you need to return to your heart space. It's a point of you need to return to your heart space. So she said, when you recognize that you're doing that, like talking about this person, talking about that person, gossiping, whatever. When you get to that point, you recognize it. To return to your heart space, you need to write down 100 things that you love. 100 things that
That's a
you
lot,
love. It is a lot.
but it can go
100,
fast.
huh?
Once you start, it gets easier and easier
Right.
on the list.
Yep. So 100 things that you love. And I thought, wow, that would just keep you in that loving feeling for a little while.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty interesting. I'm going to try it.
Mhm.
I'm definitely going to try that. See how that works. But she has really good advice. She really does.
Yeah, I
I
really,
really like her books.
yeah. I was reading Mariah's comment. Not sure if I read that one yet or not. And she was talking about the conscious parenting book, the
Yeah.
interfering with the soul causes more work in the long run. Yeah, yeah, interfering,
Mhm.
trying to fix everything for everybody. It's not healthy for you or them.
She's so smart.
Hmm?
Mariah's smart. She's smart.
Yeah, of course.
She keeps me on track sometimes.
We need that
I
sometimes.
think we keep each other on track.
Um, not going to talk about the stories that are in this book, but
Yeah, I saw
we
that. And I was
we
like,
can talk about the the levels again. The student, the apprentice, the what is it? The journeyman and the mastering. Um, so when we're learning through this alchemy of going from ego to unconditional love, it says if you're a student, take deep breaths and realize that they give you life.
"Hmm,
Are the facts. That's one of the first things that I do when I go to an event. I have people do some deep breathing. It's for the reset, it resets the nervous system. Wonder about your spirit and consider what lights the fire within you.
I didn't hear you because you were just paused out on me."
Oh no. Yeah, my
What did you
internet.
say? It could be mine.
No, my mind says your internet's connection is unstable. That's a
Okay.
bummer. Can
Did
you hear
you
me
ask
now?
me a question? Yeah.
I asked, what lights your fire? What ignites the light within you?
Within me would be helping others.
Yeah. Gotta think about that.
Helping others. I love to be creative. I love to make things with my hands. I love to um that's my jam.
I think mine probably be I enjoy encouraging others, lifting people up. Um, I seem to be pretty good at it. And usually in turn they turn around and say the most amazing things back to me. So it's kind of a given, I mean, it's a very humbling energy exchange,
Mhm.
very loving. And people will remember that, they remember how they feel when they're around you. May not exactly remember what you said, but they do remember how they feel around you.
That's true. That is so true.
If I can make people feel good about themselves and who they are by reminding them who they are. Like one of my favorite sayings is, if you could see the you that I see in you, you would fall so in love with yourself. You really
I've
would.
heard you say that a million times.
That is my favorite thing to say
That is where
because
I'm when I'm telling you, when you used to say, I see you.
Mhm.
I haven't heard you say it in a while, but you haven't been on TikTok in a while either.
That's right. I've been very busy.
Yeah.
I've had an appointment today, and we took the kids to see other RVs to kind of get their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the first time they went with us, so they
Did
like
they
the
enjoy
movie one.
it?
At first, they were like, but just we just pick them up. They're going from one home to another, and they're having to go through that adjustment period. It's sometimes
That's
awkward, you know.
it's pretty a normal thing for a kid to say, "Oh, we're going to the camper." Woo! No, not yet. It'll
I
grow
don't
on.
think they were. We didn't prep them ahead of time. We just said, "Oh, we're going here." I'm like, But once we fed them, everything changed. I think they were just a little bit hangry, you know. But they had fun talking about the different things that they loved. They like the bunk houses more than the toy haulers.
Yeah.
They like those better because the carpet thing, the floor in the trail the toy haulers is like a gym floor. They call it feels like a gym in here, you know, because it's kind of like a garage to house your UTVs or ATVs or whatever. I said, well, we can throw carpet down there. It's okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to stay like this. And
Right. You can
like,
fix it any way you want to.
what's that?
You can fix it any way you want to.
Yeah, yeah. You've been doing a lot of that lately, fixing
Yes.
yours up.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's a hard work, but it's a lot of fun.
I'm gonna ask Mariah what lights her soul up. May take about 20 seconds. It's a delay here, but so Mariah, what lights you up?
I can't wait to see this.
Plants. Love my plants.
Plants, her kids,
Yeah, yeah.
plants, my kids,
You and mama.
sourdough bread.
Uh,
She's really good at the medical part, herbs, just finding an answer. She
I
should
love that.
study. She should study it.
Well, there's courses online, and they don't cost an arm and a leg to get your certifications, but you do learn. I got my certification through the Center of Excellence,
I
and
did
it's
too.
a school out of the UK. It's accredited over in the UK, but everything is measured different. So you kind of have to do your own,
Yep.
you know, comparisons to how we measure things here.
That's what got me started.
Okay, I have one of her books too that
I have a lot of
Mariah sent me.
herbal books. That's where a lot of my journey started with herbs.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, obviously my hands because they've just been, I just didn't know. But herbs,
You do
healing
now.
my family. Huh?
You do now.
I do now.
Going to town on that.
I
Getting
love
all
my
kinds of
hands.
Reiki certifications,
I
helping
love
others heal themselves, her babies and her plants. Yes, yes. This is what we
helping
do.
others heal themselves. I love that.
All right. I got sidetracked here. We were going over the different levels because I wanted to see what lights you up and Mariah up, me up. Um, so we can start paying attention to the similarities among people rather than their differences and notice what is good, even great, about all human beings. That can sometimes be difficult if you meet challenging people. I actually enjoy meeting challenging people, not right away, but when I realize that they're a challenge to me, I'm like, ooh, this is teaching me something. I want to know what we have on common ground. So I'll start listening to how they talk to me and I'll pick up on one topic and then I'll start talking about that topic and boom, everything opens up and then we're like best friends, that barrier is broken and I just
Common
enjoy,
grounds.
yeah, I enjoy making that connection, working through that challenging process,
Yeah.
but I actually kind of enjoy it. Let's see. Mariah says I'm making Asiago sun-dried tomatoes sourdough loaf tonight. Oh my
That's
goodness.
for me.
Oh my
That's for
goodness.
mom.
That's delicious.
That's for mama.
Oh, something else we are learning as a student is to stop seeking approval from others and accept our our divinity. I'm sorry.
So another perspective for that is learning that we all come from God.
Yeah.
All come from him. Period.
And we want to,
Period.
we want to,
We're all siblings somehow.
I think we're just all together, God.
We are.
We,
We all come from
the essence.
we all come from
Religion wants to separate that, wants to separate us from
that was
our
the whole
divinity.
point of having religion. Oopsies. That was the whole point, to keep us separate. What do you think they're doing now? They're keeping us separate. It's a separate. Something that I thought I was talking with Mariah about it the other day. I was listening to something back in the 30s. It was like a normal thing for families to live together, and that's how communities were. They came about, communities where you help each other, and it's your tribe. And then all of a sudden they've taken a community and they put it into this person, and you don't know your neighbors. So you really never feel that safe, secure, like you would if you were on a big piece of land with your tribe. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That a lot of past life regressions that I experience with people, a lot of them have those lifetimes where they live in a community and everyone takes care of each other. It's not like, oh, you're so and so's kid, I'm not helping you. It's how can we help each other?
Right.
And how can we feed each other? How can we, live together in harmony? And they all worked at it, and it wasn't 100% harmonious all the time, but from the sessions that I've done, it's a very loving, close-knit community. And this is what I want to develop here. There are some actually going on right now, spiritual communities that are doing exactly what we all strive to want to be. When we go through that awakening, everybody wants to get off grid and have grow their own food so it's not tampered with, and this is just a remembrance of the way we've done things before. And I think I'm excited to get that, be part of one of those communities, if not start one ourselves when we get that land.
Yep.
Mariah says, the village, we need to come back. Yeah, let's create the community again. Children suffer the most without village. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. Because
We have to teach we really and truly, in what we live in right now, our children are brought up in fear. Period. There's, if you think about before, when you had this big, large acreage of land, and this family lived over here, and this one over here, and this brother and this sister, mom and dad, grandparents, whatever. You wouldn't worry about your kid running from your house to grandma's house, even if it was a half of a mile. You didn't worry. Would you worry now?
Yeah, well, because we're all spread out. We're not a village anymore.
We're not a village. So, stop seeking approval from others and accept your divinity.
Yep.
That if we all can recognize that we all come from the same place, too.
All
Same place
created
of
in the
love.
image.
We're all
Yeah.
created the same, And so I feel like when people start to realize that, judgments will stop. Just feel that way.
Yeah. When I think of when we're in the scripture, the spiritual text, when it says you're created in the image of the creator, well, doesn't that make us the creator too? We're co-creating together.
Right.
You create your reality just by your thoughts, and because your thoughts are in direct alignment with your circumstances are in direct alignment with your thoughts. So if you don't like your circumstances, change your mind.
Change your mind.
Hard,
Read.
especially if you are coming from a mindset of lack or victimhood. You got to get out of that, or entitlement. There's a lot of that going on nowadays.
I know. Yes, I know.
So move on up. Do you want
Yes.
to read the apprentice stuff?
Sure.
If you are an apprentice, then you'll go over the list.
Focus on the things that you love and appreciate about yourself, doing so out loud and often. Vocally give yourself full approval. Take the time to notice the activities that bring you peace and engage in them. Affirm that you are loved by your creator. I know that. I know that. So tell me one thing that you love about yourself, Kia, and appreciate about yourself.
I love and appreciate that I started listening to my intuition more and trusting it. I'm finding more and more how accurate things are when I just am still and listen. But I love that I share messages with people without even realizing it.
I know.
And I think that's amazing because
It
it
is.
blesses them and it blesses me.
It
Helps give me, some confirmation, But I love loving other people. What about you?
Me? What I love the most about myself. Several things actually that I love about myself. I mean,
One, but you told me one. So.
I am base. I love helping people. The healing aspect. That gives me so much. I'm so thankful that I came here to do that. Like I don't know. It's my jam. I love it. I don't know. I what do I appreciate about myself? Appreciate.
You appreciate the time you took to learn and
Oh, absolutely.
and continue to learn because
And
you're doing
continue.
new
I
education
can't.
this weekend.
Right. I can't learn enough. Cannot learn enough. But I do love the fact that I've gotten to the point in my life where I can actually look at people that I once didn't care for too much, but I can look at them with love now and
Yeah.
forgiveness. And that is something that's a very easy thing to do once you learn how to do it. I was about to say a different word, but I changed it. Saw
There you go.
that.
Mariah says, I believe in God's image is our soul. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that. I do, because we're deeply loved by our creator. I know we're deeply loved.
I'm going to read the journeyman portion of it. So if you're a journeyman in the first lesson of remembering your divinity, remind yourself daily that you are divine. Look into people's souls. See them, see them as the creator in a different body, see the God within them. Recognize the spirit within all beings. Yeah, I just said that, but my own words. Ignore any thought or feeling that makes you doubt your worthiness, and instead focus exclusively on living in your spirit. Living in spirit. That does take a lot of effort and work to get up to that level and that point.
Yes.
But I do notice that I do see people more as the soul rather than the human, and that we're all connected. We're all divine. Most of us are unaware of it. I just have to be aware of mine and aware of everyone else's too. That's probably easy for me to pull out the goodness in everyone, even the jerks. There's some goodness in them too.
Absolutely. They're here playing a role.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Out of the most unconditional love, because if you were given a choice, do you want to be the good guy or the catalyst in this journey? The catalyst is the hardest job because you have to be the one that sparks the growth in someone else. And it does sometimes look like abuse or
Mhm.
narcissism. I probably have been that person myself for someone else.
Oh, I know I have been. It's okay.
Yeah. It's an important role to play. It's hard. Um, well, maybe sometimes it might be easier for people than others. It might be easy to crap on people, but I can't see myself ever doing that.
No. In another lifetime.
Yeah, yeah.
In another lifetime, I was a jerk. And I yeah.
Do you want to go over the mastering portion?
Sure. Laugh at your ego and enjoy your spirit. Continue to model your self love and acceptance. Be open to your divine nature and love yourself without condition.
Overcoming that self-sabotage is pretty difficult, especially in today's society. Everybody wants you to be perfect this and perfect that. If you don't look like this, then you're crazy or ugly
Yeah.
or whatever words they use.
And I just hate that. I hate that so much. Mm. Something I need to stop saying hate,
Yeah,
but I really
I
don't like the conditions that are put on people because we're all different, but yeah, we're all the same.
mhm. Yeah, what words would I use instead of hate? Because don't like and dislike are still saying,
I do not like.
yeah, it still has a
Still
negative
has a very negative connotation,
energy. Yeah,
very negative energy.
something
I would
that
just choose to love everyone unconditionally. I choose to um yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Because I need to stop saying that word. That has been programmed since we've probably been saying hate since we were like 4 years old.
yeah, I remember saying that word to my parents. I hate you. I never meant that. Why would I say that? Because my feelings were hurt. I
Mhm.
didn't know how to express my feelings, so hate was the number one word that would come up in my vocabulary, my limited vocabulary at that age.
Yeah.
You know. Um, Speaking of last week's, we talked about the conscious language and how to change your words. One of the words that my husband and I have come up with the word pain because everything pain is a negative thing.
Yes.
Instead of saying I'm having some pain in my back, I just say I'm in a meeting right now,
Oh, shit.
and he leaves me alone,
And he
and
leaves
he
you alone.
understands. He understands. They're like, I get it. Okay, let me know when you're out of the meeting. Let me know
That's
when you're out
funny.
of your conference call there.
That's funny. That's a good
But
one.
when I look at it that way, the pain actually starts to diminish
Mhm.
because I'm not looking at it as a negative. I know that the pain is there for a reason, and it's my body's way of getting my attention to look at what's really going on.
Yeah.
You know. your back is your support. So
Yeah.
once I realized that, I'm like, okay, how can I fix my way of thinking about that? And then next thing I know, I'm out of the meeting adjourned, and I'm feeling pretty great. So,
So how have you been feeling through this energy shift?
well, the new moon was yesterday or day before. We just went through the new moon. It's been a little bit of a emotional, like you were saying that earlier to me before we got on live. That's pretty normal about this time of the month for the new moon. Been kind of weepy a little bit, and
Good Lord, I'm so glad I'm not by myself on that one.
I don't have a problem crying. I usually wait till I'm in the shower and then I just let it go because it's so healthy. That's just the release of emotions, and emotions are just energy emotion, and just letting that flow, it just opens the floodgates and lets things
Yeah.
clear out. And we should all do this more often.
Mhm.
Society wants, oh, you're just a big baby. It's important to be a baby once in a while, important to
Yes.
get that out.
Right.
I don't mind being a baby.
I don't either. Have you checked out the Schumann lately?
Actually, it's been pretty calm the last few days.
Is it
Yeah. Oops. Yeah. If I can.
like 4 days ago, maybe?
4 days ago, there was a spike, I think.
Major. I thought. And then we have the new moon. So boy, oh boy,
Right.
talk about a roller coaster. I'm look, we need it. It's great.
Okay, so why did this not show up on my thing? So yeah, Monday. Um,
Off the chain, huh? Just totally.
well, this is like a cap of the week. See all the. Of
That's what I'm
course, you're.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's
Hold
roller
on.
coaster. Yeah, that's what it has been. I was wondering because we normally we would be out working on our camper over the weekend. We did 0.
All
Right,
those white
right.
stripes in there. That's just the
Yep.
spike in energy. Just
Yeah.
I try
I
not to
would,
pay attention to that, but I do when I go on my roller coaster. I do end up thinking, is this really me? Am I really this emotional, or there's something going on energetically? And usually it is.
it
And
is.
so I'm like, okay, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Everyone else is probably feeling this way too, and that's why everybody's picked off at each other on the road.
Yeah, and I think that everybody feels it differently depending on what type of energy. If you're new to this whole energy thing, if you know what you're feeling, 9 times out of 10, I know what I'm feeling now. I'm getting used to it.
Awesome.
I think you do too. Like you notice when there's an energy shift, like something's off right now.
Yeah. Either I wake up in I wouldn't say a foul mood. I just wake up like, and then I look at the human resonance. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be one of those days, one of those kind of days. So I verbalize out loud, I accept the upgrade, and my day changes after that
Yeah.
pretty quickly, and it gets better.
Yeah.
Now I can't make everybody say that and accept the upgrade in my household, but once they catch on, their day gets better too. So
Mhm.
I just happen to notice it right away because it just doesn't. I don't feel. I usually am always happy, and the days that I'm not feeling that happy, that's when I check the Schumann resonance. This isn't normal for me. I want to be happy today. I choose happiness, not
That's right.
I don't want.
That's right. That is right.
Well, next week, we are going to go over the soul lesson number 2 called the "You Are a Co-Creator with the Divine," and I'll read over that better than this week's.
No, I think we did fine because
Busy
sometimes,
weekend.
you can read something, but adding your experiences and another way of putting it kind of
Yeah.
helps people to understand, especially if they're just starting out. I can understand it better, relate. So I think it's perfect.
Coming up to the top of the hour. Do you know how to stop the live once you are on the live? Usually you just click off and it stops.
Yes.
But I know you wanted to talk afterwards.
Yeah, I know how to do that. I think last week we were going to, but your husband was on his way to get you and we kind of ran over time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, we can wrap up.
Well, we just want to wish everyone an amazing week ahead or rest of your week. Mariah, thanks for contributing to the chat and having conversation and interacting with us. And I don't know if your mom's seen the comment, but you're only getting half of that loaf, just so you know.
Half? Girl, you better make enough. Yeah, Kenny, I can't eat that much of it, but I am going to.
It sounds
She made
amazing.
some bagels. She made some cinnamon bagels. Oh my God. They were so good. Like, she really needs to sell them.
Send me pictures. I like to look at pictures of food. I'm one of those ones that take pictures of food, but I don't always post it. But I'd like to see the pictures, so.
Send her some pictures of the beet.
Your creations.
Beet. Yeah, she colored it with beet.
Nice.
Yeah. She's awesome.
My husband was in the store the other day and he looked at a bag of red corn tortilla chips or the Tostitos. Yeah. And he's like, I wonder if they're using red 40 in this. So he turned it around and he goes, they actually use beet to make this red coloring. I'm like,
they're learning.
Like,
it's probably the other natural flavors that we need to be scared of.
Yeah, the other stuff. I'm glad they put the beet in there, but I didn't look at all the other ingredients. Yeah.
So yeah, she's been experimenting with stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So I'm impressed. She's really taken off with that.
That's awesome.
She got her pool up today or yesterday, and they've been swimming, and so they're having a good time at Mariah's.
Nice. Yes.
All right. Well, everyone
have a wonderful night.
Yep.
But I'll stay online if you want to continue chatting after we end the live.
All right. Jamie says her bagels are so good. They are.
Hi, Jamie.
All right. Love you guys so much. We will talk next week. Let me see if this is going to do it. Oh, shoot. Let's try this.